Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thoughts from Your Gal Pal podcast. My name's Clara, the gal behind the thoughts, and today I am really just rolling with the energy that I have had to produce these podcasts. I don't know what has come over me other than the fact that I've quit one of my jobs, so I have more time now, but I'm just rolling with it. We are doing weekly releases on Fridays, which is the goal. If you would like to be a guest and you have a topic you'd like to share some thoughts on, LMK, and I will consider your application along with some other things. I will ask you a few questions as my guest today will concur or can confirm. So yes, today, guest. Let me add some suspense. First of all, happy Pride, everybody. It is Monday, June 20th, and we, meaning me, are going to release this on Friday. It is Pride. My visions of Boys Town in Chicago are filled with rainbows. Everything's rainbows everywhere. Also, happy Juneteenth. Do you wish people happy Juneteenth? Anyway, that was yesterday. This guest actually has been a couple of months in the making. So back in January when I did my online dating hinge exhaustion episode, that one has gotten the most feedback of any interview style podcast I've done. And I don't know if that's because it's been out the longest, but it currently has 69 views on YouTube. And I love that, baby. But online dating is something that is just becoming ever more common in our life. And I think that it is very wise for us to talk about it. What's going on? What's happening? With that, I come from a very narrow perspective. I am a straight white girl. And I know that there are a multitude of experiences in all sexualities and all genders and all the things. And what better occasion than Pride to talk about those? So I have a friend who has been generous enough to gift their time today. And we're going to talk about the differences between straight and gay dating culture. I thought and kind of have been thinking about this duality since I listened to Monica and Jess Love Boys, which is an offshoot of Armchair Expert. Very long-winded kind of weekly updates on dating life for Monica and Jess. Monica being a straight woman living in LA and Jess being a gay man living in LA. Pre-pandemic kind of experiments to see how they're doing. So that's the background, everyone. The intro to the guest is I met Caitlin during Rec Club. She is a cross stitch and knitting queen. Oh, she just jumped off. But the cat was there. Crazy cat lady, infectious laugh. She has hair lengths and styles that can just woo a nation. And in her Instagram DM, she said she loves making things more gay. So without further ado, Caitlin Hirschler, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Clara.
How are you doing today? And where are you joining us from?
I am doing well. It is a gay day. I am wearing my shirt from the 2022 Target Pride collection, which I highly recommend. It's fabulous. And I'm coming to y'all from Newton, Massachusetts, which is a suburb outside of Boston because I am old. And city life is too much for me at my speed of life right now.
At your advanced age?
My advanced age, public transportation that still gives me the willies. Well, it's just because Boston public transportation, I think, is going to kill people. Actually, it does kill people, so I just prefer not to use it.
Fair enough, fair enough. So you're living in Newton, Massachusetts, and just give us a flyover of what a day in the life looks like for you. What are you doing for work? What are you doing for fun? What are you doing for pleasure? I guess fun and pleasure are the same thing.
So I work a 9 to 5 job, and by 9 to 5, I mean, well, actually, this week it has been 9 to 5, but I have flex hours because I work for a material startup here in Billerica, Massachusetts, which is just a suburb outside of Boston because the Boston sprawl is massive, so you have to put all the different corporations in the surrounding area, otherwise you can get the work. But yeah, so I'm a material development engineer working for a composite startup. We are called Boston Materials. My job is to take the technology that our founders developed, which my way to explain it to people is carbon fiber composites usually have been in the X and Y axis exclusively, so kind of flat on a table. Our co-founders figured out how to align carbon fibers in the Z axis, so kind of sticking up like trees, which is something the composite industry hasn't seen before. and I find a way to combine plastic with the trees and making that work for customers and sell the product. So that's my job. But typically, I will get up Monday through Friday. My girlfriend will make me breakfast every morning after we cuddle in bed because we're lesbians and our life is gay and cute like that. And then I go to work. Um, I know a lot of people do things after work. My girlfriend likes to go to axe practice. She goes axe throwing. I am a homebody. I can't imagine doing anything but coming home straight after work, kind of sitting down, smoking my weed, and knitting. So that's kind of my post college like thing. I am now a huge stoner. But I still knit every single day and hang out with my cats and listen to podcasts.
How many cats do you have?
We only have 3.
Only, okay.
People expect me to have more as I talk about like cats plural. They're like, how many cats do you have? And I'm like, it's 3. I'm not. It was 2, but my girlfriend and I, we moved in together in December. It became 3 because I had 2 previously.
Talk about cuffing season, moving in the winter when it's dark and cold. You'd not want nothing more than to cuddle and be cute and gay.
Oh,
so
perfect.
So back us up. We probably haven't seen each other in several years. Like what happened between graduating and now? Like you've moved a lot, you've lived in New England, you've changed jobs, like go through the bullet point list of what's been going on.
Absolutely. So because I am a tech grad, I am an expert of the elevator pitch of my life. So I have a spiel that I give of my life up until now. So I graduated Georgia Tech in 2018 with my degree in material science and engineering. And as you can tell, this is a pitch. Like I cannot,
okay,
it is my thing I do. My first job was with Anheuser-Busch working as a group manager. I trained for 3 months in St. Louis and then was placed in Syracuse, New York for my first position. Essentially, I was a floor manager to like 30 plus 50-year-olds who have all worked at this company for longer than I've been alive. And they literally just throw new engineers as management roles. And it's a nightmare. And their turnover rate is super high and they just throw a ton of money at you to try to make you stay. Money wasn't worth it to me. I said I'd rather keep my sanity and my body because I was getting pretty sick at the time, and I left that job without a job. Actually, I'd been interviewing, but I didn't have anything lined up, and I took a cold email from some lesbians on an island off the coast of Washington State on a website called WOOF, which, if y'all don't know, it is the Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, WOOF. So you can sign, it's like kind of like a hosting thing. So you sign up to be working on a farm and someone will sign up to host you. They can give you a stipend and a place to live and food. So I had some lesbians cold email me. So I quit my job at Anheuser-Busch and I moved out to Washington State to work on their farm for 2 months. However, life finds a way. So when I was in North Dakota during this road trip, I got a call that I had a job lined up in New Hampshire. So I cut my trip down to 2 weeks, rapid speed farm for the lesbians, and then packed up my cats and moved out to New Hampshire, where I worked for VF Corporation. They own Vans, Timberland, North Face, JanSport, Smart Wool, all the great things. I love working for them. And I designed the outsoles of shoes. So like the rubber formulas, I was actually formulating them. Then when COVID hit, in May of 2020, they dissolved the entire department, let all of us go, only hired back all the boys, let all the girls go. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We don't have issues. And because of that, I decided to stay in the rubber industry, and I moved to Rhode Island, where I was the rubber manager I ran the rubber program at a wire and cable plant. Founded the company. My entire job was saving the company money, which I can give less than 2 shits about. So at the time, I had been with the company for about a year and a few months. I had been dating my girlfriend for a few months, and she calls it U-hauling. I think it was a very educated, well-timed decision. We've been dating for about 4 or 5 months, and I knew I wanted a new place to live. She wasn't on a lease, so she could move anytime, and I was kind of looking for a new job, and so I said, hey, like, if I moved to a place in Massachusetts where I could commute to a job and you could, do you want to move in together? And she said, yeah. So I said, awesome. So I found a job where we could live together, and the rest is history, which is the past 6 months.
Okay, so let me ask a few questions with that. What were the lesbians growing in Washington?
Okay, so they just had a cute little homestead. So it was a older lesbian couple who had lived their lives, and they were now on this island. One of them, they were very traditional Butch femme lesbian couple. The Butch was very tiny lesbian, and she had a kind of like home painting slash home improvement business, and the femme one drove a motorcycle at the local school down the road because they literally lived in an island. So they had a homestead where they raised chickens in the spring, and that was their meat, their chicken meat for the entire year. They'd raise them in the spring and then butcher them. When I was there, I dug their new asparagus pits because asparagus has to be planted 2 feet down. You put it in the bottom, and over the season, as the fronds grow up, you slowly fill it up with dirt, lots of berries. It was just like literally like a my dream, like what
That's
I
like
wanted.
Little House on the Gay Prairie.
It is Little House on the Gay Prairie. They had a cow homestead or a cow share where they didn't own the cow, but they shared the cow. So they only had to go milk the cow twice a week, and so it just sounds like ideal because like you have to go milk it
Commune
like
shit.
twice a day. So it's like, the
I
cows are
know. So a couple
so
of things. My dad grew up on a dairy farm and his sister inherited the dairy. So I know all about milking schedules. They did
oh,
not have they had lots of cows. And two, I was born in New Hampshire. So I've actually lived there for a few
I
years.
did not
And
know that.
in my very young life, yeah, my parents got married there. My mom went to high school there. So small state, big memories for my family. And also, before I ask you the next question, I've always been curious of the traditional butch femme. I mean, I don't want to say that's a traditional or classic lesbian relationship, but is it? And can you break down the definition or like I don't know how else to say it.
So I will give my overview as I know it as a queer person. Yeah, so like butch femme is an identity. It's a queer woman identity, specifically used in the lesbian community. I'm gonna have to guess the origins are from the 80s, or around that time, but it's it's harder to explain exactly what those identities can mean to people. Like to be a
Sure.
mass butch lesbian, like it's more than just like how you dress and how you present. It's an identity of who you are as a person. There's a lot of really great literature, like Stone Butch Blues, kind of goes into like what that means, and then femme is kind of like that counterpart, that dynamic in that relationship. And it's interesting because my partner, AJ, she is like a butch lesbian. Like it is her identity. She has been like known as a dapper butch lesbian, like as her identity. And it's like a whole thing. And I present or identify as a non-binary woman, which for me, I don't present as, I don't identify as a femme. I may present more feminine than my girlfriend does, but I don't identify as femme. So it's interesting. But and so people, even people our age, because of AJ's um, kind of prominence as a butch, they automatically categorize me as a femme. And I have
But
to,
you're not.
I don't like that. Please don't do that. But it's just like it's a thing that's been and the kind of that dynamic in that relationship for people is like something that's really important and beautiful, and it's fun. I like how stuff has evolved now that you can be more dynamic. I'm sure like if you asked people 30 years ago, could like I don't know, like butch and femme, it changes, and I really like that.
No kid. I mean, yeah, I think there's so many layers and there's like no two relationships can ever be compared and no two people can ever be compared. But I think it's as a straight person who's very ignorant but curious, like I have this feeling of like, do I ask the questions or do I do the research? Like, I don't want my Black friends and my gay friends to be my educators, but also I do think like I'm so excited about who they are as a person. And like, I just like I gush about my dates, like, I want them to feel the same way to, they can be open with me about what they're excited about and what makes them tick. So, with that, if you're comfortable, do you want to share your coming out story? Because you're like so gay and cute and proud. If you'd like to share that story or in any capacity, I'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. So mine is an overtime kind of process, like how a lot of queer people's is. So I realized that I liked girls my freshman year of college. I was dating my long-term boyfriend at the time, the man I thought I was going to get married to in traditional Southern girl fashion. And I we were at like a grocery store and there was like a cute little Butch at the register, and I just wouldn't stop talking about her. I was like, oh my god, she's so cute. Like, do you see what she was wearing? Oh my god. And he like turns to me and goes, do you like women? And it literally was just a light bulb moment. I was like, oh my god, you're so right. I do like women. And this is
Whoa.
just who I am as a person. I have a hard time recognizing things that are right in front of me. To like an extreme extent, like to the point like I ran on a broken leg for 3 months, and like taking that much Advil was not a red flag for me. Like it takes a long time for things like really click. So I literally went, and it didn't need processing because I think my processing had been done. Like looking back, I've been processing it for years. But I went back to my freshman dorm that day, ran to all my friends, and was like, guess what I found out about myself today? I like women. I'm bi, and literally had no issue with it as soon as I recognized it for what it was. And so I identified as bi from when I was, I guess I was 18 at the time, so 18 to about 21. And when I was 21, I broke up with that boyfriend that I had been with for a long time, and had becoming to a point in my identity where I said, you know what, I think I like women more than men. But and I was saying to my boyfriend, I was like, I still love you. There was he had a bunch of issues with himself that I'm not going to let project onto me because
Sure.
I don't care. And so after we broke up, I really took a look and was like, hey, like, I know I like women more. Like, do I even want to be dating men anymore? Do I still identify as bi? Is that the right label to me? And I realized at the end of that summer, and that was the summer of 2016, I realized at the end of that summer that bi was not the right label for me, and then I was identifying as a lesbian, and I was out, and I was very happy with it. And anyone who knew me in person, I think I knew you at that time. I think I don't know if people knew that I had made the transition from bi to lesbian, like at that point, or like that I liked women was very known. I wasn't quiet about it, but um, I wasn't part of like the queer community at Georgia Tech. I just happened to like women um,
Mm.
while being at Georgia Tech. And so after I kind of decided that, I am a lesbian, is when I finally came out to my parents, because before I'd always planned on marrying the boy I was with, so it was never going to be an issue. So I came out to my mom just by text. I say, at the time, I think I identified as bi, so kind of just like, hey mom, I'm bi, by the way, cool. And like, that was just kind of me avoiding the issue because I don't really I didn't particularly care what my parents had to say about it. Any
Sure.
issues they had are their own problems. And so I was just like, I could have done it in like a gentler way, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. And then that following October, so October 11th, I think, is like National Coming Out Day. So I finally put it on Facebook as a good, like, here are all of my high school friends who don't, know me day to day. Here are all my friends' parents who are friends with me on Facebook, because my ex-boyfriends had been getting like, did you know that I saw something on Caitlin's like Snapchat like about like being a lesbian? And I was like, they know, they know. Like, trust me, they're fine. And so I was just like, all right, everyone can know, like, I'm done
Right.
getting weird text messages from my ex-boyfriends being like, LOL, like, so and so was asking me. I was like, oh my goodness. And I've been out like very publicly since then. Most of the reason I've been out as aggressively as I am is I don't do things in half measures. More of
You do not.
I can't be subtle. Like there's no like as soon as I know something about myself, I can't keep it to myself. As in like I recently found out I was autistic, and I like a lot of people like if they found out like even just like autistic people who are proud of being autistic, they're like that's my thing. But I can't not be like, oh, like I'm making eye contact with you. Sorry, I'm autistic. They're like people I've just met. And so it's kind of like that kind of
No, I
scenario.
think that's why you're like a perfect guest today because you're just so proud of who you are, and I've always admired that about you. You just like say things that you're thinking, and it's unfiltered and it's real and it's raw and it's enthusiastic, and you're just there. You're like, this is who I am, and it's so refreshing as I think our generation, because we've been so influenced by social media, we can be so contrived and so pre-planned and rehearsed in the way that we present ourselves. And I feel like you've always struck a balance of being really proud of who you are and also just really honest with people and yourself. And you've let people in through every step of the way, which anybody who loves you, I think, would just be so thrilled that they can go on that journey with you and, do it in the exact way that you want to do, which I think is great. So, I mean, you've been out and proud for several years now, and you've met AJ. I mean, the topic of this episode, not that we really need to stick too closely to it, but is online dating. And I know that when you and I were Facebook messaging, which I was trying to do some research for this, and I'm like, why were we Facebook messaging? That's so random. Like, I'm usually a texter. But you said that you met AJ on Tinder. So tell us about what it's like once you kind of transitioned from identifying as bi to identifying as a lesbian. What did that look like for your dating life? Was it, and I'm curious to know, like, was that a kind of thing where you were like, I'm still learning this about who I am. I don't know if I'm ready to like act on that? Or were you like, I'm lesbian, let's go, let's date, I want to kiss some girls? Like, what was it gradual or slow? Or was it like, I'm ready to do this, like, let's see who's out there?
So my like queer dating took like a while to get like in effect. Mostly because like once I transitioned from lesbian to bi, I was with my best friend on and off for 2 years. He's a trans man, and so like it was, and he wasn't out at the time, so it was like a very weird like lesbian trans man dynamic. Were never continuing the relationship post college, but we like loved each other. We loved living together. We loved being together when we were together. And then when we weren't together, it was like, okay, cool, we're done with that period of our lives. Like, love doing that with you, like, bestie, like, see you soon. And so we ended that relationship for goodsies my senior year of college, and I was like, okay, I don't know where I'll be. I was, fresh, going to be a post grad, like working for Anheuser-Busch, not knowing where I was going to be placed, and so I'm a kind of not for religious reasons, but for who I am as a person reasons. I'm a date to marry kind of gal. I've always wanted to be a slut, but I'm just so terrible at it. Like, not even because like I have like values that are like anti-slut. It's just like I don't know. It's just I don't know. I've tried.
That is the quote of the show. Is I want to be a slut so bad, but I
I've
just
tried
can't.
so many times. I'm so bad at it. Like, oh my god.
You're just a wholesome as hell person. Like, you're wholesome as fuck, and it's so like every time I see you like knitting a sweater, I'm like, this Caitlin just needs to like live on a farm with cats and like brew tea and tell a story around a campfire. Like, you're just so cute. Like, I get it. So okay, so so how did that inform you like going into post grad then, that experience?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
keep going.
Yeah, so I realized like my last year, I think I had like it was our spring semester. So I graduated spring of 2018. So it was my spring semester. I realized I had never like dated like people. Like I was my three series partners was like boyfriend I met in high school, other boyfriend I met in high school, partner I was best friends with. So like there was no dating. It was like I knew this person. And so I was like, shit, damn, like how the fuck do I date women? And so I was like, I've never used Tinder before. So I just happened to choose Tinder randomly as the kind of like app I was using. And I met this like absolute like little cutie. And like we never even like kissed, but like I just enjoyed like I was like she knew I was moving and that wasn't gonna be
This
serious.
was in Atlanta.
This was in Atlanta, and so I wanted to practice like taking girls out and like how to date and like how to talk to people. And so she knew it like wasn't gonna be anything serious, and so I just enjoyed like taking her out and paying for her food and like going to little events with her. She was like this cute little blondie girl who like her like was from like Missouri. Her dad was a pastor. It was like a whole thing. But like there's a weird thing to delve into like your like childhood trauma like on the first date, but like she didn't make her trauma my trauma, so it was like all goodsies. And so that was fun. And so then I left Atlanta and I tried to like date casually when I was in St. Louis because I, didn't really know where I'd be. So I didn't, obviously couldn't date seriously. Or for me, I wouldn't date seriously. But it's just not good at it. I'm just not good at dating casually. It's just not, I just can't. And so I had my first like real girlfriend when I moved to New York, Syracuse, New York, and I met her on Tinder. And I've actually met every single partner that I've had up until AJ on Tinder. And I've always had a great experience, like finding girls who like are into what I want or are like kind of in the same headspace as me. Because like what I've seen, like from like my straight friends, is that like Tinder, like people aren't direct. Like on my Tinder, I literally put like for my life partner, looking to settle down, like da 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 da. Like I'm very direct, and like every person I interact with like has that same directness and expectation. Like we know what we want in for this interaction, so there's no kind of playing around. And of course, you're gonna have fuck boys. Like that exists in every kind of like group. Like it's just like there's even like there's like a an aesthetic of like fuck boy, but it's fuck BOI. And like if you just type that in, you will know. You will know. So it's like the tight pants, backwards cap. It's a whole aesthetic. Anyhow, but I've just found that queer people are more open to what they're looking for, even if it's hello, like looking to suck 5 dicks tonight, or like hello, looking to eat you out for hours, no reciprocal needed. Like people are that direct on like Tinder for queer people.
And was that totally different from, I mean, I know that your two experiences dating men were people that you had known in the past, but like, were you like excited by this? Were you nervous by the directness, or were you just like, let's dive in and do it? Like, how were those first couple of casual, I guess you've met people, but was there a growing learning experience?
It was not. It was what's my style of gay dating, because I've always been direct. So something that I, even with straight people, like when I was like straight or did straight relationships, I never pined. I like don't believe in pining. Like the whole like, oh my god, like Steven in my math class, like I don't know, does he like me? Unsure. Like that whole experience of kind of like not knowing if like they're reciprocating that feeling, that whole pining kind of stage that some people go through. I like cannot abide by it. I think I just won't do it.
Why
So
not? Because I live for pining.
I
I don't
I
live
just
for pining, but like I love romance novels. I love the meet cute. I love the tension. Like,
yeah, I don't know tension.
because,
I
okay,
well,
tell me why. Maybe
well, I think
give
it's
me a
a
different perspective.
I think I have no need for like I have a lot of feelings, and I don't need the push and pull in certain parts of my life. I like to keep more even keeled, because any part of my life that gets like that, it'll affect everything else. I can't keep them separate. More of like if I'm like thinking like, oh, I'm putting all this effort into like liking this person, I want to have like commitment that they're interested back before I waste all that emotion. I could have been wasting that emotion on something else.
Okay, well, I'm
And
going to counter you this by saying, what if they are like a slow person and they want like a little bit of a build? Like, do you feel like you're ostracizing? I know that you're in a happy relationship, but you're ostracizing people who maybe need a little bit more subtlety or like time together by doing that method. Basically, give me dating advice. That's what I'm saying.
I definitely think I could be, but it's who I am as a person. So
Okay.
in my like male relationships, I've told the person I like them. I will be like, hello. Like when I was younger, I had like a scheme, but in some way or fashion, I told them first, hi, I like you. Let's go on a date if you're interested, and that worked. And then like the person I was with in college, it was the same thing. It was kind of a meet cute because it was like a best friend situation. So it was like whatever, the tension was there. It was like a huge thing. But in my gay relationships, I found that we move a lot faster, especially me, because I want to be in a relationship, and I have learned that you need to pick your people with care of who you do that with.
Mm.
So when I was younger, so when I was like 24, 23, just graduated college, I lived in Syracuse, which is a college town. So I dated a girl who was still in college. She was about my age, but she was still in her undergrad. And so I swiped right on Tinder. She was a hot, like, masked lesbian. I was like, my breath was taken away. Texted my friends, like, oh my God, this chick is hot. We went on a date, and like during the date, we started holding hands, making out by the end of the date. Like wanted to take her home, and then like 2 dates later, we were like officially girlfriends, and like that's just my style. And like the next girlfriend, same thing. AJ, similar thing. So if I like someone, I'm gonna tell them, and I'm gonna move forward in that relationship, and I'm gonna consider them like seriously as a partner. But that's just my style, and I found people who are interested in doing
Well, you
that.
shouldn't change who you are. I mean, I think that's like what a lot of this stuff comes down to. Like, advice can be given left, right, and center, but if it doesn't vibe with who you are, then it's not going to fly. Like, if somebody wasn't okay with you being direct, then they're not going to be a good person for you. And
Exactly. And on my second date, like I learn as I move forward. So like I've had past partners that like, for example, I've never wanted kids, but my past partner did, and I was like, maybe I'll change my mind one day for you. And I realized after we broke up that like, no, that's bad. Red flag, internal red flag for myself. And so
Yes.
second date with AJ, I literally texted her and was like, hey, like just so you know, I don't want kids and I don't want to waste your time if you
If
have
you
any,
do.
because I that can't be something that we do together. And I'm not wasting my time dating you because like I don't like to leave my house. So
Or her
if
time.
I'm gonna leave my house, it better be worth my time.
Okay, true. So I guess dive in if you want, like, I'd love to hear. So you're like being really clear on who you are choosing to spend your time with. How have you honed in on those values? Not to think of recruitment, what are your values? But really, like, what are your values and how have you defined them? And how has that influenced your relationship with AJ, which is going really well from what I can tell?
It is going very well. Um, so it's really interesting. I found that in college, just like being around people all the time, I feel like I get like my personality kind of grows like a bubble. It's not even my personality, but it's kind of like I feel more chaotic and chaotic until it kind of pops and I retract back in. And that kind of comes around with being in lots of kind of open groups that have a lot of relationship dynamics that are doing a lot of things at different times. I've learned for me, just the way my brain works, I kind of struggle with that. I kind of get too involved in too many things. And so in post college world, I really have like small groups I go to. So I know groups that I kind of vibe with. So if there's a knitting community, I'll kind of try it out and kind of see like where everyone's at. Like even if they're all like older white straight women, like what's the vibe? What's the vibe like? And usually like
You're
it's really
probably a ray of sunlight in any small Massachusetts knitting community. That's all I could imagine you being, but maybe not. I just
I
imagine you meeting at like a sleepy, white wooden, snow covered, small country Massachusetts town, like holding your tote bag full of yarn, and you just go in there and you like chit chat and listen to music. Like that's who I don't know. I could just totally see you vibing with that.
tote bag correct, but it was a brewery in New Hampshire
Okay.
where we had a lot of beer involved.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. So knitting, so I guess that does inform dating in the sense that you're not going to be a person that meets somebody at a music festival.
Yeah, that's very true. Or I'm not going to be someone who's going to meet someone at a bar. I really struggle. I didn't go out in college because I didn't want to be awake past 10. I had no
Yeah.
intention of being out of my house, and so I was always the at 4 p.m. who wants to go to a brewery, and everyone's like, "I'm in class?" Question mark, and I'm like, "No, this is drinking time. We go to
Yeah.
bed at 8." Like, mm-mm. And so I just kind of I'm not gonna find people who vibe with that lifestyle just because they're gonna be unhappy because I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
you can go, I just won't go with you.
Yeah, and that's an independent. That's such an inner confidence to be like, "Hey, this is where I do best and as long as you accept me for what I need, I will accept you for what you need in it." Like, I'm actually becoming a lot more extroverted in my post grad life. Like, I felt very overwhelmed by Georgia Tech's like sorority, social life, rec club, like all the things. It was just like go, 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 go. But now living alone and working independently, I really love getting together with people and having like 5 to 6 nights of plans where I get to see people. Because it might be an hour or it might be 3 hours, but that's the only time that I get to actually interact with people during the day. And it's been really good for me. And I recognize that not everybody wants that pace of life. And in fact, a lot of my friends are like, "You do so much. I can't believe you do so much." And I'm like, I get sad when I'm alone. Like, I end up calling my mom, which is delightful, and talking for an hour, and like going down a bad like mental rabbit hole of being like, why am I alone? Why don't I have company? And I am not somebody who can like zone out and watch TV. Like, I need to be out and about. So I'm glad that you've kind of honed in on what you like and what you want to do. And you're waving it proudly. Like, you're not trying to be someone you're not, because that's just, it's exhausting and breeds resentment. We are going into the 35-minute zone, the danger zone.
No,
So
we
let me,
talk so much.
I know. Well, there's a lot to lots of thoughts to share. Really quick thing while we're on the topic of AJ, can you please explain the dyke on the bike? Like, when I saw your
Absolutely.
Instagram post, I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And like, your jacket was amazing. Walk us through what you love about AJ and hobbies and what you guys like to do together.
Yes. So AJ likes to say she downloaded me from the internet. She imported me from Rhode Island. We moved in together after 6 months of dating. We officially met in July, our first Zoom date. So it was 3 weeks or 2 weeks post my last surgery. I had 3 massive surgeries last year. So
Yes.
she met me post medical crisis. But so we met in July. I think July like 13th was
Wait,
like
how
our
did you meet on Tinder, or were you saying everybody you've met but AJ has been on
no,
Tinder?
no, I met AJ on Tinder. And the
Okay,
only
cool, cool.
reason that, because AJ was living in Boston while I was in Providence, Rhode Island at the time. And I had been
How
like,
big was your mileage open, dude?
okay, so there's a reason. The only reason why I matched her because I was like, I'm done dating an hour away. It's annoying because like lesbians, we do that for like casualies. But I did that with my
Yeah.
last partner from New Hampshire to Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine, not Oregon. People do that though. And I was like, well, too far. But my really good friend had just told me she was bi, and I just wanted to see if I could see her on Tinder, despite the fact she uses Hinge and Bumble, just like a swipe right to support. Didn't
Yes,
see
yes.
her, but found AJ,
Wait, so you
and
were just trying to be like, oh my gosh, I want to see my friend on the apps, like just see if I can come across them, and then you met AJ?
yes.
Ugh,
I had taken the year off dating and the year previously because usually I move to a new city, start dating immediately, get a girlfriend in a month, we date for a while, they break up with me. It's a vicious cycle, and I was like, I'm done.
yeah.
So I took a year off from dating and actually ended up getting like surgeries done that I needed to get done. So it
Yes,
was
I'm so happy for you that that has been positive.
Um, and then like 3 weeks post surgery, so I was like, I guess I can start dating again. So I opened up Tinder, found AJ within a month, and then we moved in together December 6th. So about 6 months later, we moved in together. She didn't have a lease. I was on an open lease because my landlords never bothered to renew the lease. And so, per Rhode Island and Massachusetts law, you can leave if you give 30 days notice. Know
Perfect.
your laws.
Renters' rights, everybody.
Exactly. And so we moved together in Massachusetts, and it's really interesting. I think one of the hardest parts moving in together is two different styles of living. So we both have ADHD, but I grew up with a neurotic type A mother, where everything has a home, and there anything extra is stuff. Like my plant decoration, like this is stuff which would be thrown away. And so
Mm,
coming from that mindset, and AJ's mom had the opposite mindset, which we've obviously taken and diluted to our own versions. But
hmm.
you kind of have to learn how to live with each other's like version of what you're doing, and so that was our biggest challenge that we're still like learning to live with. So it's me learning to be more gel about where things are, and her being like, yeah, like we can work together to organize. Like I don't want you to be at my ass all the time, but like
Oh,
I'm willing to work with you because it's important to you and you're important to me. What we do together, I'm trying to like condense like
no,
everything.
yeah.
So she's so much more social. So she would describe herself as an introvert, but she's just quiet, but she needs people. She is
Hmm.
doing stuff with people like almost every day of the week. Like either it's going to hang out with a friend is here. Me, on the other hand, the weekends are for friends. I will meet you for dinner on my way home or somewhere near me during the weekday. I have since all my chronic illness, I have a really hard time managing my energy levels.
Yeah,
And so I will get cranky. So I'm really aggressive in protecting my time and my energy.
as you
Um,
should. Stay
so
healthy.
that is like kind of like my vibe, and so it's really fun to have her being like, okay, like going to hang out with Bills tonight. I'm like, okay, cool, like like are we doing dinner together? She's like, no, we're doing it Bills, and it's like, okay, awesome, like I have leftovers, like see when you get home, like can't wait to like cuddle with you before we go to bed tonight. And then we balance things that we like to do together. So
Hmm.
we really like to eat together. So we'll eat breakfast together in the morning, or we'll plan dinner throughout the week that it's like kind of an active dinner. So we do hot pots at home, which you can do with your Instapot. Pro
Ooh.
people, you need to learn this. You Instapot, you can turn it into a hot pot. Go to an H Mart, get the little sheep hot pot broth. They will also have frozen meat
Ooh.
in little rolls, in like little kind of like clear things. Buy that. Few seconds with your meat, any veggies you want. You have yourself a date night. It's
Great
awesome.
suggestion.
No,
Okay.
it's a hot pro tip. It's what we do. We also involve a little indoor grill, so we can do Korean barbecue next
Yes.
to our hot pot, but that's like advanced stage. Um,
Scale up. Okay.
exactly. You get there, you build there. So we've been living together for 6 months, and it's honestly been amazing. Something that we do really well
And she
is
rides a motorcycle. She drives
she
a
rides a
motorcycle.
motorcycle on the deck and the bike. Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
there's on the deck and the bike. So that's just a phrase in like the gay community.
I
So you'll
love
see
it.
like dyke march, and you'll see like dykes be like, I'm a dyke on a bike, and so
So
I don't know
funny.
how to ride a motorcycle, so I'll say I'm the dyke on the back of the bike. And she's my dyke on the bike.
Dyke on the
Um,
bike, dyke on the back of the bike. Okay,
exactly.
last question, because
Yes.
I will cut you off because you told me I could.
Yes, you
What do
can.
you okay, having kind of delved into gay dating, online dating, and straight online dating, what do you think straight people have to learn from the gay dating online dating community? Like what could we adopt that has really worked for you? And I know this is like so general, but just give your opinion.
No, I've thought about this because you emailed me some questions beforehand, so I had time
I
to
do
think
love
about
an email.
it. And same. And I think my suggestion is just be more open. And if that is even having to put on your dating profile, like, hey, like I like to do a few dates before getting serious so we get to know each other. Like, just be open of what you need, or just if you don't want to have that, if it's like not sexy to have it on your dating profile, because apparently I've learned via Ben, a mutual friend of ours, that certain versions of my directness is not sexy. So
Love isn't sexy all
girls
the
that
time.
when Ben was a baby, I gave him some advice, and apparently a little too direct. Um, but yeah, just like be open. If it's the first date, be like, hey, like I'm excited to get to know you on this date. Like my style of dating, like I'm looking for this. My style of dating is like few dates, blah blah blah, or like I'm interested in getting like however fast we, more go with the flow.
Hmm.
Um, just know what you want and be able to speak to that. And I think a lot of straight people's problems could be solved.
Well, I think like the power of the gay community is like you've had so many like not obstacles to overcome, but you have had to define and redefine your existence in a like a society that doesn't like it's not the normal. So you're like I've every gay person I met is so much more comfortable in their own skin and like aware of what they need and what doesn't work for them because they've had to do that because like they're you know what I mean? Like it's just they're more evolved in that sense and knowing what they want and who they are. And I think relationships just come easier and go faster because of that pre-work. You've done the work on your own. Does that make sense? Like
No,
whereas
you're touching on something that AJ has, like it's like a theory that she has, that like
okay.
gay time, we like straight people have had like their whole lives to kind of do that kind of development. We've had to condense it. Like once we
Yes.
come out as gay, we kind of had to just start over. And so it makes our time kind of like when you're a kid, things move so much faster because you've had less time in that space. And so she kind of has the same
Oh.
theory of that. Like, I've only had like, 5 years in our lives, of who we are as people, just getting random numbers. And so like that's why things seem faster, we might move faster, because like we're trying to condense all these experiences down into the time that we have.
That's so wise. And I think I could probably be more open, but it's also like I have a fear of ostracizing somebody who maybe is like, whoa, because I've been told so many times, you're so direct, you're so direct. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, but I guess that doesn't work for you. Like, I don't want to be confused. Like, that's not, and I know that we can have times of flex and like, oh, I'm just feeling things out. I'm feeling things out and being chill, but like, I'm not chill. Like I said this on the dating podcast with Peter and Oliver when people are like, I want to look for someone or I want to be with someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously. I'm like, not your girl.
Yeah,
I
I'm that girl.
am not your girl because I am there. I take myself very serious. I mean, I take my life very seriously. I care a lot and I don't ever want to diminish that to make you feel more comfortable. So if you want that, find it somewhere else. Well, we are in the 45-minute zone. I think we could talk for 3 hours. So I'm going to say farewell for now. Any final 1 or 2 minute, not 1 or 2 minute, 1 or 2 sentence final thoughts you want to share?
Didn't have final thoughts prepared, just be gay, do crime.
BKD crime. Don't ask, don't tell. Well, everybody, thanks for joining. I will have a good time editing this one. Because it's just I sometimes feel like when I do these interviews, I'm so like in the moment, just like looking at you, staring at you, figuring out that I don't really remember what we talked about. Like, it's all a blur. So with that, farewell, and see everybody next week.